72 degrees. I'm on my way to pick up a pizza. I've been wanting pizza since this past weekend, and my son wanted what's the name of that place? Golden Chick, which is fine. I had a coupon from there. With coupon, it's only like $23. Without coupon, it's $27. So yeah, I get to save some. Excuse me. But I ordered this pizza so that I can go to my 2:30 appointment that I'm not looking forward to. It is for a mammogram. If you all listened to my other video, I spoke about how I'm doing HRT, and the medical assistant had told me that if I didn't get this mammo done, they weren't going to do my refills. And then she did mention something about a waiver, but I did not understand her correctly. I took it as I could sign the waiver, but they're still not going to give me my refills. And I didn't ask. I was just like really taken back by her tone. And I told my cousin this, okay, last week. And my cousin was in shock too, because she was like, they've never asked me for that. I've been going there 3 years. Why are they asking you? And I told her, well, maybe because you're a medical assistant, like they know who to ask, and apparently they know that you're very informed. I don't know. I have no idea. But still, they should be fair across the board. And I said, yes, they should. But I said, you know what? It's no big deal. If I need to get it, I'll get it done. You know, I haven't had one in years, and even though there's a lot of controversy about it, I'll just get it done and over with, you know? And then I did research it, and if you are doing HRT, it is a good idea to get one done anyway, because it affects everything, you know, even your breasts. So I have no issue with it. Not as big of an issue as my cousin had with it, you know? So then she calls me yesterday, and she tells me that they asked her for one. And she was pissed. And I was like, you see, I said, I'm wondering if maybe they're getting paid for these referrals, because you know how doctors are. Maybe they're getting paid for these referrals, and they're like, you know, wanting to send people, you know, I don't know. And then she says, no, it has to do with the guidelines, the new guidelines. And I said, well, that's not what they told me, you know, but okay. I kept listening to her, and she was like, no, it had to do with the guidelines and that stupid guy that's in charge now of the health organization. And I'm like, who, you know? And she's like, that JFK Jr., he's effing up everything for everyone. And I'm like, what? I go, well, that's not what they told me, but okay. And then she says, no, I asked her, can I sign the waiver, and are you still going to refill my prescriptions? And she said, yes. Side note, I put the pizza for 1:15, and it's barely 1 o'clock, so I don't think it's ready yet. Anyhow, so then she says she was going to go by today during her lunch hour to sign this waiver so she don't have to have it done. And so again, I repeated myself to her, and I said, okay, I understand that, you know, you don't want to get this done. I'm going to get it done just for my protection, you know. I've never been on HRT before. I haven't had a mammo since, oh God, I can't even tell you, like maybe in 2011, you know. I don't remember. But I said, I don't mind getting one done. I'm just going to get it done and get it over with and call it a day, you know? It is what it is. And she's still arguing about it and everything, and I'm just like, what is her deal with this mammogram? She's told me before how she needs to get a colonoscopy, and she had no issue with that. Of course, my uncle passed of colon cancer. And so yeah, now everybody on our side of the family, we're gonna have to get tested. We're gonna have to get a colonoscopy, you know. And you know, even my husband, he was scheduled for one about 2 years ago, but he didn't show up, so he has to reschedule one now because his doctor keeps telling him, you know, you need to get this done, yada yada. But he has I don't think he has any history of cancer. However, it is a good idea to still get it done. That's all I'm going to say. Like, it's not because of referral fees or anything like that. It's just a good idea to get these things done. Now, that's what I thought initially about the mammo, right? But now I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to get it done. It's not like I'm going to get boosters or anything like that. I'm getting something checked for my own peace of mind, if you will. You know, so I don't make a big deal about it. Here's where I'm going to change the subject a bit. This past Sunday, well, actually, last week, my husband's mom texted me, and she texted me at 1:15 in the morning, and it was the rosary through the Hollow app. So I'm like, okay, this is odd. Why is she texting me at 1:15 in the morning and it's the rosary? So I'm like, okay. So I look at it, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and pray with it, you know, because it don't matter if it's Catholic or whatever. I will pray. Prayer is prayer to me, so I'll pray. Maybe she needed prayer. Maybe this prayer was for me. Whatever the case is, I prayed, right? And then 2 days later, she texted me again about the blouse. I bought her a blouse from her granddaughter, okay? Because her granddaughter is selling on that Whatnot or something like that. She bought a pallet of Macy's clothes, and now she's selling it. So I got her a blouse. I said, you know what? This will look nice on her. I'll get her this, you know. And I got me a little blouse too and a sweater. And the blouse that I got from her, by the way, I couldn't even wear. I washed it when I saw that I could wear it on a Sunday. This was like a couple of weeks back. And now it has spots all over it. Like it got discolored or something. And I was just like, okay, I can't wear this now. It looks odd. So I went ahead and I donated it. I don't know if somebody would like it. It's not very, very noticeable, but it is to me. I don't know, whatever they want to do with it. You know, they can trash it after they go through the clothes or whatever. So I told her, yeah, I'll stop by on Sunday after church and I'll give you this blouse, right? This is my mother-in-law that I'm talking to now. And I get out of, well, actually, I was on my way to church, and I called her to make sure they're going to be home. I got no answer. So then I told the husband, hey, call your mom. Find out if they're going to be home about 11:30-ish, between 11:30 and 12. I said I should be out of church. That way I can just head over there, drop it off, and go on my way, you know. And I go, let me know when I get out of church. I'll call you again. And he's like, all right. So he couldn't get a hold of them either. So I said, oh, well, I guess we're just going to have to save it for some other day, right? Because I'm not going to drive around to see if she's ever going to call. I get home after I pick up something, some food, you know. And I get home, and then he calls me, and I said, great. And he tells me, yeah, she finally gave me a call. They're going to be busy all day at church. They're home now, but they're going to go back at 3, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, you know, and they couldn't tell you this earlier, like, what the hell, you know? So I'm just like, that's fine, you know, we'll just plan it for during the week. So I sent her a text, and I said, hi, we keep missing each other. I have an appointment on that side of town on Tuesday, which is today, at 2:30. I could stop by afterwards to drop it off, and then I need to come home because I need to take my son to work. Let me know. So she didn't text me back that day. She texted me yesterday saying that was good. Yes, she'll be there uh, for me to just call before I go over. And I said, okay. So then today, when I was in the shower, she's calling me, telling me that they just remembered they had an appointment at 12:30. They were not going to be home. And my husband's dad is there listening to the entire message, right? And she says, we can stop by after the appointment today. And then he says, then she says, unless you want to come tomorrow on Wednesday. And then he says, yeah, tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So then, of course, I call her back. She doesn't answer. She calls me back. And then I tell her, hi. I said, you all don't think you'll be home by, you all don't think you'll be home after 3 o'clock after this appointment? And she's like, and you could tell that they were still at home. It was already 12:20 when she called me. You could hear the TV in the background. I could almost picture his dad sitting in the recliner. I thought they had an appointment at 12:30 with a doctor today. So I'm like, okay, what is going on, So when I told her, do you think you'll all be there after 3 o'clock, like around 3:30ish, 4 o'clock? I'm just going to drop it off. I can't stay for a visit. I can only drop it off and leave, because I need to take my son to work. And she's like, well, actually, we're going to go over to my daughter's after the appointment to help her out with something. Oh, okay. So why don't I just drop it off there? She lives not that far from where I live, so it would be even closer for me. And I was telling the husband this, mind you. And he agreed. He's like, well, yeah, But then she comes out and says, well, I don't know how long we're going to be there. And, we're going to help her out with something. And I just don't know, what time exactly we're going to be there and how long. And then the dad's like, tell her to come by Friday. And I'm thinking, I don't have anything scheduled on that side of town on Friday. But then I remembered, oh yeah, my counseling, right? But I'm just like, I finally said, look, how about Sunday? Are you all going to be busy all day Sunday, this coming Sunday? Can I stop by after church? I get out at 11:30. And they're like, no, that's even better. That's perfect. We'll be here. So I'm telling the husband about the conversation, right? And I told them, let's just see what happens on Sunday. Maybe they won't be there again, because last Sunday I told them I was going to go by and I got no answer. So, and he's like, well, don't worry about it. She'll get it when she gets it. And I said, exactly. I'm already I've been saying that this whole time. Next time I see you, I'll give it to you. But your mom keeps texting me wanting this blouse so desperately. She's going to wear it this weekend or something, And they're driving me nuts, constantly canceling on me, ignoring my calls, and then calling me, telling me it's okay for me to do it now, knowing that I can't, that I have something else scheduled. So I started telling them, they're being really sus. Why are they being so sus? And he's like, oh, everything's sus to you, and they're not being sus. And, the husband's having a fit, of course. And I'm like, you know what? Calm down. I said, it's I agree with you. She'll get it when she gets it. I don't want to be going through this anymore. I don't want to be trying to schedule something. If it doesn't happen this Sunday, that's it. Just let it go. She'll get it when she gets it. I'm not even going to answer the text messages anymore. Because something else happened yesterday as well in our conversation between me and the mother-in-law. But I'll be right back to tell you all about it. Let me see if the pizza is done. conversation from yesterday. She calls me, we're trying to make plans when I can drop off this blouse, which I have in the car, by the way. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, how are y'all doing? And this and this and that. And I'm like, good, we're good. And she's like, well, you don't sound good. I said, no, I'm good. And she asked about her granddaughter, because she knows that her granddaughter came over for Thanksgiving. And I said, yeah, they came over for Thanksgiving. Everybody was here. It was fun. We had time. We enjoyed our time with the babies, which we did. We love those babies to death. And she says, oh, and how is her mom? Which is the daughter's mom, which is the husband's ex. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, yeah, how is her mom doing? And I said, well, it's funny that you asked, because I did ask her. I asked, is your mom doing anything for Thanksgiving? Was she going to make something? And she said no, that she was going to have a Friendsgiving. And she was like, what's that? And I said, well, she was going to have a friend over because her stepdad is driving still. He's not home for Thanksgiving. Her stepdad, my husband's daughter's stepdad, is also a truck driver. So he's still out there. He was still out there. He didn't come home for Thanksgiving. And so the mom, her mom was going to be at home alone with this friend of hers. And they were just going to, I guess, have a dinner themselves and celebrate. A side note, to me, she could have still made something for her daughter and the husband and the kids, the grandkids. She would rather be with a friend. Whatever. Whatever. I that wouldn't be me, but that's on her mom. Anyhow, so I'm telling her this, right? I'm telling the mother-in-law this. We end our conversation, and I tell the husband, that I was not comfortable with that at all. I didn't like that that I was asked about your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend, whatever, your daughter's mom, baby mama. I don't know why your mother, insists on talking about your exes with me as if I'm friends with them. And of course he said what I thought he was going to say. Let me park over here. He said, oh, well, she's old. She doesn't know what she's saying, yada, yada. And I was just like, no, like, I had a feeling you were going to say that. I said, no, she's been doing this for 13 years, where she brings up either your daughter's mom or the boy's mom. He's got 2 different baby mamas, just like I have 2 different baby daddies. But to the boy's mama, he was married to. That's his ex-wife. The daughter's mom, he wasn't married to. But anyway, I said, no, she's been doing this for 13 years already, and there's no excuse anymore. There's no reason why she should have to bring them up to me. If she wants to know how they're doing, I'm pretty sure she has a phone number on how to get a hold of your daughter and ask your daughter herself. And as far as your ex-wife, we know they still talk, so there's no reason for her to bring these women up to me. And he's like, yeah, but just ignore her, just blow it off. And see, here's my thing. I feel that was very dismissive of him towards my feelings. Like, he expects me just to roll with the punches. And I can't. I can't, because I did let him know when he said something like that. I automatically felt like he was saying, well, your feelings don't matter. It's my mother and she's more important. That's how I felt. That's how I took it. So automatically I said, I'm going to let you know right now that next time that your mother brings any of your exes up, I'm just going to say, I don't know. I don't keep up with that. It's not my business. My business is only my family and the husband and his family. That's it. Not outside of that. And see if she can respect that. And if she can't, then we're going to have to take our conversation to the next level, which is going to be, why do you insist on asking me these questions about your son's exes when you don't question your daughter's husbands about their ex-wives? You only do this to me, so it's pretty obvious you have some kind of feelings towards me where you really don't like me, and that's okay. You don't have to like me, even after 13 years of being with your son. You made it very clear that you have some grudges against me and you don't like me very much, and that is okay with me. I want you to know that. However, you do have to respect me the way I respect you. I have never been disrespectful towards you, and I am with your son, and he's priority. These other women from his past are not priority to him, nor to me. They shouldn't be to you, but I can't tell you that. But if you choose to make them still priority in your life, that is your business. But leave us out of it. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell her. And end it there. It just, you all, it really rubbed me the wrong way that she did that. And she continues to do this like nothing, like no respect for me whatsoever. And then the husband, when I told him all this, he's like, well, don't worry, we're going to be married soon. Oh, that's not going to stop her. 13 years of being a couple, of living together, hasn't stopped her. What makes you think that a wedding ring is going to stop her? It's not. No, you need to talk to her. You need to put your foot down as well and tell her that she needs to respect me and you and our relationship. This isn't acceptable. In the beginning, it was one thing. You and I were just still dating. We were getting to know each other. But now, this time long together, no, there's no excuse. It's not acceptable anymore. And then I said, how would you like it if my mom was still alive and she asked you, hey, how is yada yada's dad? Which is my younger son. How's his dad doing? How would you even know? How would you know how he's doing? You don't converse with him. You don't have any relationship with him. You don't even want him around our apartment. But he comes here for his son. And you forbid me to step outside to say hello. You want me to stay inside. So how in the world are you supposed to know how my son's father is doing when you're not a part of his life? I'm not a part of his life either. We share something in common. We have a child. That's it. That's where it ends. Our relationship was a lot longer than you and your daughter's mom. You were with her for only like 2-3 years. I was with my son's dad for 10. So we have a longer history. But even like that, I respect that he is married now. He has his wife. He has his stepchildren. And he has his son. I don't need to know what's going on in his life. If something drastic happens in his life where, God forbid, he gets really sick, his son will tell me. My son will tell me. And he has told me. He's told me when his dad's been in the hospital. He's told me when his dad had a hernia surgery. That's the extent of it. But I don't call him and say, hey, how are you doing now? How did you do on your surgery? Are you doing better? No. My son will inform me. And he will give me information on a need-to-know basis and what he's comfortable in sharing with me. And we leave it at that. I don't pester him with for questions and answers. We respect each other's boundaries. That's what it's called, to have a boundary. Your mother does not respect boundaries. So, I don't know, does anybody else have MIL like this? Because help, I'm trying to like deal with this as best as I can. And I think I'm doing good. However, I'm afraid that I am gonna like pop off on her one day. Because she's constantly trying to compare her grandchildren to my children. And I put a stop to that as well. I did put a stop to that right away, because if you all know me, you know you don't talk about my children. I don't care who you are. You do not talk about my children. You can ask how they're doing, but just ask how they're doing. How are they? Fine. Next question. That's all I need. You don't need to know, well, where are they working now? Are they dating? Are they still doing what they're doing? You don't need to know any detail. All you need to know is that they're good. I'm good. They're good. That's it. When you start asking or telling me that, well, my nephew is the manager of this, and my nephew, I don't give a crap. Good for your nephew. Good for your niece. I don't give a crap. I do not give a crap. I didn't give birth to them. And I'm not going to have that comparing either. And I will let you all know why that triggers me so much. You all probably think like, man, you're such a bitch. No, it goes back to my past, and I will let you all know about that tonight. Hopefully I remember. But I'll cover some of that. For now, thank you for listening. I'm going to drop off this pizza, and I'm going to head out to my appointment. I will let you all know how that went too tonight. Thanks for listening. Talk to y'all later. Bye.